Hello, everyone. This is the Children of Saturn. I'm your host, Ryan Stump, coming to you live from Los Angeles, from my office in my home. Just watched a beautiful sunset, and I'm sitting here with my dear friend Blair Mackenzie Blake, and he's our guest this evening. Getting really excited about Area 51 and stories of his travels there. I'm going to play a couple tunes, and we're going to get back with Blair in a minute. Hope you're having a good Monday evening, and I'm really looking forward to spending the next 2 hours with you. Hi, everybody. Hope you're enjoying those first couple of songs in your Monday evening. I've got Blair sitting with me. You want to say hi, Blair?
Can I first have my check for $616?
Yeah, we'll get that right to you.
Cash will do.
Yes, because we're a nonprofit radio station. I'm making lots of money.
$61?
The first song we heard tonight was Arriving UFO by Yes off their Tormato record. After that was The Vines with Spaceship. And they're actually going to be playing the big day out. So hopefully I'll get a chance to bug them for our shows that I'm going to be doing over there. And lastly was Dr. Octagon with Aliens. And I played that basically because Justin Chancellor got me into all of that hip-hop stuff. And he loves him, so. Anyway, I'm sitting here with Blair. It's my 9th show. I'm very honored to have Mr. Blake on my show. He's an incredible author, a ufologist, a musician. He also does the content management for the Tool website, don't you, Blair?
Yeah, I do.
Is that your most rewarding job?
I can verify that.
That's your most rewarding position that you've had in your life?
Oh, sure.
So, what are we going to talk about tonight, Blair?
Well, seeing how we're on community radio, what do we got? What is that? .org? Radio23.org?
Yes.
Interesting number, 23.
It is.
Well, since it's community radio, I thought we could just blow the lid off of this whole UFO thing, expose the truth finally about Homey Airfield out there in Nevada without fear of repercussions or being harassed by the Black Hat Boojums, which are those gentlemen that like to stick forks in their Dr. Pepper, if you know what I mean. And we could also we could talk about some of the other things that have happened to me. 53 trips out there.
Yeah.
Beginning in the 1980s. The late 80s. And good news, I just heard Danny pull up.
Yes, he did.
He was with me on several of those trips, quite a few actually. I heard his Lamborghini pull up outside, although that could be the pickup truck because they both have the same engine. If I understand correctly, they both have the same engine.
And the same gas mileage.
Okay. So, we'll talk about that. Actually, we'll just have fun and talk about the crazy things that have happened out there. I don't think I ever made a trip out there without something unusual going on.
I've been out there once with you, and we'll talk about that later because that was really crazy, and I have my own little tidbit about Area 51.
I can verify that.
Yes, you can verify it.
Be careful, though. Even though it is community radio, you don't want to say too much.
I won't. I don't think I can remember too much.
I could verify that.
So, Blair, you were also and are also an incredible synthesizer, keyboard player. And back in the 70s, you had a band called Surprise. And I just so happen to have my signed copy of vinyl right here.
Ooh, that'll go for about $200 on eBay.
Yes. So I'm going to play a song.
Signature.
I'm going to play a song. What's the song we're going to hear, Blair?
The Acrobat Between the Stars.
Ooh. All right. So let's get right on it. And thanks for tuning in, everybody. Make sure you click on the chat and our website on radio23.org/CCR so you can chat with us. Okay? Wow, Blair, that was fucking awesome.
Probably should have done some disco stuff, but we really weren't interested in making any money, so we just put that out instead.
Did you wear a cape? I know it was rumored that you
No
did.
cape.
In fact,
No.
You did not have a cape on.
Nope. I did not. Definitely did not have a cape on.
Okay.
I think that was Rick Wakeman with Yes.
Okay, and that, yes, I do know this, but I thought for some reason perhaps you were donning a cape in this era of amazingness of your life.
Maybe in 1966 when I played Batman, I might have had a cape. It was probably just a towel that my mom was pissed that I had taken out of the linen drawer.
Fair enough. So that was a recording you did in, what, 77, right?
1977, August 77.
With your bandmates out of, because you're from...
Southern Illinois.
Yeah. O'Fallon, as a matter of fact.
O'Fallon. Very paranormal place.
Really?
Well, they took me away one night.
Did they really? Do you want to talk about it?
Well, it is community radio. Maybe later.
All right, maybe they're coming for you now. I don't know. All of you that are listening, thank you so much. And I'm really thrilled to have Blair Mackenzie Blake here with me. We just got finished listening to his incredible contribution to music. His band called Surprise. So, how long were you guys together?
4 years, I think.
4 years, but you used to also be in another band.
Yeah,
where
well, we played live a lot in the clubs all through the Midwest.
You did.
And then finally, strange things started happening to the band members. I'm the only normal one, I'm happy to say. Well, no, there were two of us that survived. And we said, well, instead of just, ending it right here, let's record some of these songs. So we made the album.
Rad.
And
Awesome.
that's about the end of it.
And you were also in a band where, what was it called? Frost or Snow? What was it?
I don't know.
Come
Let's not talk
on!
about it.
What? It used to snow or something. You'd make it snow.
Well,
come on.
it was the mid-'70s. All right, I'll fess up. Blizzard. But we
Blizzard with two Z's.
No, I think there was a Y in there.
That's amazing. I love it. I wish I had footage of that because I'm sure it would be priceless. And maybe you were in a cape in that band.
They didn't really have video cameras back then. Right?
No.
They didn't have that kind of stuff. There might be a few Polaroids somewhere.
Well, do you want to talk a little bit about yourself and maybe some of the books that you've written and some things you're working on right now?
Well, real quick, I'll just say that I did the anthology series Dark Lore, which is from the publisher that does the Daily Grail site, one of the better websites on the internet for all things 40 and paranormal. And we've got 5 of them under our belt now, these books. We've got volume 1 through 5. They're available on Amazon, called Dark Lore. Of course, my book of poetry, which is I Jinx, is in its 3rd edition. It's also on Amazon. And the book that we currently did, that about Danny and I's obsession, collecting the rare first editions of Aleister Crowley. There are we printed 1,000 of these coffee table style books, and there's probably on last count about 100 of them left, and they're available on Danny's website in the store.
Do you guys have any more signed, or are they just...
Well, actually,
regular?
we just did a holiday promo, and I believe Danny signed about 25 extra ones that we have sitting around.
Oh, that's cool.
We'll probably run another promo for those. I'll put it on the site, and that'll be, I don't know if we're going to do any more copies. I kind of doubt if we will. We'll move on to some other projects.
I had an idea that you and Danny should do a book about synthesizers because of his collection and your love affair with them.
I would say he probably has one of the best collections in the world. I mean, I would really be amazed if there was something better. Maybe there's a synth museum out there somewhere, but his collection is museum worthy for sure. And he should do a book on that. Better yet, he should do a record with him.
Yeah, that would be cool.
That's what solo record and bring him in. I'm sure he will do that. It's in the works.
What isn't in the works?
Yeah, there are a lot of things in the works.
Cool. So do you want to play some music? I know you brought some interesting discs over that we're going to play. And We also have some Tool we're going to play. Danny just rolled in, so he might come up and chit-chat with us a little bit. You guys can talk.
Oh, he will come up.
Oh, yes, he will.
He will definitely come up and talk.
So what do you want to do?
Well, I was, one of the things that when I did do those trips to Area 51, sort of as a ritual, I guess, for lack of a better word, I would always play Philip Glass's 1,000 Airplanes on the Roof as I would be taking my vehicle, usually a rental, because they would get destroyed on that road. We have a very...
We're being invaded as we...
Smoking lights on, gentlemen.
Oh, boy.
We're being invaded as we speak.
Anyway, I played Philip Glass 1,000 Airplanes on the Roof every time I would make the run down that 13-mile track with all the jackrabbits coming at me, cows in the middle of the road, sensors, security personnel, and I would blast it up. It was sort of like in Apocalypse Now with the Valkyrie thing. We would play this, and this is Philip Glass.
Awesome. Here we go.
We'll play some of it, and that's Linda Ronstadt doing the vocals.
Oh, is it really?
It is Linda with the little soprano stuff.
No
there.
Blue Bayou, because I can sure sing the hell out of that karaoke, if anybody's interested.
Yes, we are interested.
All right, here we go. Philip Glass.
Anyway, like I was saying, I remember in the late 80s going out to this place that I'd heard where all kinds of crazy things were going on, that they had reverse engineered an alien spacecraft, and if you went out there, especially if you went out there on a Wednesday night, you would be able to see it being tested, the whole Bob Lazar thing. So at first nobody would go out there with me. Everybody thought it was just kind of nuts, and so I finally went out there by myself. I think I got about 6 miles into the, down towards the perimeter, and set up my little lawn chair, and didn't really see anything that time, but then I started seeing things on the ground moving around, which were probably cows, but whatever it was, my imagination started to get to me after a while being out there by myself. This was long before the place was a household word, and it was a lot different. You want to take that phone call, Danny? It's probably more important than what I'm saying. Thank you. Anyway, that's from a man who knows a lot about Area 51 himself. We'll talk about him later. But anyway, in those days, at first I wasn't sure how to get up on the ridges, and then I figured that out and went up there with a guy who claimed to be looking for exotic cacti. He wouldn't say he had any interest in UFOs or black budget military aircraft until we got up to the top of the ridge, and he pulled out a scanner, and we began listening to what they were saying on the military scanner channels. And what they were saying, they were talking about us being there, sitting in the bleachers. And so then maybe they canceled a few tests that night, I don't know. But and I would go out there, and I would start, putting more reflective tape, gold ribbon actually, on the Joshua trees to mark the trail, so that we would not wander into the restricted zone where I heard, you could be shot, killed, you'd be forced to listen to a lot of bad music, whatever. Maybe anything could happen there.
Turned into a communist gangster radio, earphone radio slave.
Yeah, that too. Under the artificial sky that we know, the fake new artificial sky. That is Danny Carey, who he offers pre-sales.
Greetings, people.
Okay, so one night I go over to the storied loft where I believe every Tool song in existence was written, arranged. Every single
song.
one of them. And I go over there and I convince Danny to go out there with me. Hey, was that your first time?
That was the first time.
Okay, so we've got a good crew. I got Danny, but unfortunately Tool this is 1995. In April. I don't know what they're working on. They're working on something. They're writing, so we get a late start. And this late start that we get, I don't think we left LA until 9 o'clock at night. That was to become of importance. So anyway, we get Mother Goose, another friend of ours. That's what we'll call him. And we go out there.
Hobo erectus.
Yes, we get out there. That's another story. We'll get to that. We get out there late, and instead of checking in the town of Rachel, where I would hear the latest scoop of what's going on, we proceed directly to the perimeter. And once we start climbing up the lower ridges towards Freedom Ridge, first of all, I see that all my reflective ribbons marking the trail are gone, which that wasn't unusual because the security personnel would do that, of course, take that down every day. But everything looked different to me. The whole thing just had a really strange look to it. It's pitch black. Danny's wandering up. I think I may have said, I just don't understand. This just doesn't look right. There's something not right. Next thing you know, Danny and I are standing there, and I tell you, we hear a voice. Gentlemen, you're going to jail. And this guy is like inches away from us. This guy
over the line.
With all this night vision equipment, and all hell broke loose. We were, we were forced down onto the ground, guns to our heads, automatic weapons, and
Was there any anal probe?
Not yet. So anyway, we're forced to the ground. It's freezing cold out there. I remember that. And first thing, I think he said, well, you don't look like Iraqi spies to me. And we said, well, you can search our packs. We're just out here looking for these, how do you say it, Danny? These gentlemen that trade diamonds for dog shit, these extraterrestrials. He was hoping that we'd run into some ETs that were known to trade diamonds for dog shit. So we had a lot of that, in the van. Anyway.
The guy goes, gentlemen, you're over the line. And we were like,
what line?
What fucking line? What are you talking about? There's no line.
No, there's no markings out there.
You had gone up there several times before.
Well, there were
dozens of times before, and then all of a sudden they had reclaimed, or not reclaimed.
The day before.
Went out and bought all this land.
Yeah, the day before there was the big land grab where they had what was once legal BML, Bureau of Land Management land was now theirs. So we were, in a sense, in the restricted zone all of a sudden. And had we have left earlier and gone into Rachel, we would have heard that in the bar. We would have heard that the land grab went through. But we didn't do that, so we didn't know. We were the day afterwards. They had taken that additional 4,000. I think it was 1 acre short of 4,000, so they could do it without congressional approval. Anyway, we're down on the ground. We're very cold, and very cold, and we don't know what's going to happen to us, but we know we're alive at this point, and we haven't been probed, and we still got all our dog shit and no diamonds. So anyway, what happens next, Danny? Do you remember? I think something the guy said, "Gentlemen, smoking lights on."
Yeah. They put a call in to the sheriff who had to drive from.
Yeah, they said the sheriff.
A 2-hour drive.
Well, it was like an hour drive that the sheriff's going to come, and he's not going to be happy at having to wake up at 2 a.m. and come get us. The guy was saying he's going to be really mad. So we prepared to go to jail. And then once he got there, it was kind of a surprise to us that he stuck up for us, and he was giving these camo guys some grief, saying, the security personnel, like, how do I know they're trespassing? How do we prove that? And he's giving them a lot of grief, and they're arguing, and Danny and I just want to get warm, so we just say, can you bring those Jeeps? Can we, we just want to put our hands on the hood of the Jeeps for the heat of the engine's all we could care about at that time. And that's what we did, and they argued, and then another Jeep came, another security guy with, I don't know, he had a bigger Jeep, I think, or he had light bars. He takes that the police guy away, and they have a little talk in private, and he comes back, and he says, where do I say that they're trespassing? And I remember the guy said, Whiskey Hill Road. There are no roads out there. There's
some
nothing.
Mile or something south of Whiskey Hill Road.
Yeah, non-existent place.
Because they could never admit that place exists on paper.
Exactly. So then after all that's done, we're issued citations, I believe for like $600 each, and we're escorted down the ridge back to our vehicle. And I remember on the way down, the camo guy, he was talking about all the rattlesnakes. Like, we've got to be careful. There's, a lot of rattlesnakes here. And I'd been out there so many times. I still have never seen a rattlesnake out there. I mean, for 20 years, I've never seen one. I imagine they're out there in the high desert somewhere, but I've never.
Not when it's 30 degrees out or something, though.
Yeah.
Snakes can't even move.
So anyway, they take us back to the, he escorts us back and tells us, to get out of there. They gave me a piece of paper that it was from the commander of the base. They didn't say the name of the base, but from the installation commander saying never to return. And if I was to return, there would be hell to pay. I ignored that, of course. So I think we talked about it, and we pitched a couple of tents, and we're roused in the morning by a helicopter, black helicopter, one of those Pavehawk helicopters they have out there. It's sandblasting us, flying right over our heads, and I mean right over our heads.
10 yards.
And just blasting the hell out of us. That's our alarm clock. Get out of here. Get out of here. So, if I remember correctly, this was a long time ago, we did get out of there. We went to the town of Rachel, which was 30 miles away, and we were kind of heroes. What was strange, they knew that we had been detained. Somehow they knew when we got there, and they kind of treated us like, we were either crazy or heroes, if I remember. And they were going to reward us, these local ranchers. They go...
Gave us a bowl of chili or something? Didn't they?
Well, they told us to follow them to that abandoned silver mine that we didn't know existed or whatever. So we followed
way
them.
up the hill. It was all covered in snow. And
yeah. So they took us to an abandoned silver mine and said we should just go down there and check it out. And we did. I remember going down rickety ladders. It's just like something out of an old Western with dynamite down there. And next thing you know, I remember Danny's just chipping away at the rock.
Yeah, there was old tools that have been down there since the 1800s or something. So I just picked them up and started going to work. Well, if they were here, we may as well take a peek.
Yeah, and he was chipping out nice big pieces of quartz. And, so about the fine, I remember when I got back, I had called the Alamo courthouse and said, well, I'm going to fight this because you're a non-existent place. I'm in a non-existent place, so how can you prove? And they said, well, isn't that something? How about if you just pay $300 and we'll forget the whole thing because it costs you more money to keep coming out here. So we did. I think I wound up paying $300.
Yeah,
you did.
They pretty much cut it.
The only difference is I paid mine over time. It took me about a year to make payments on it. Danny just paid his right away.
That opiate. Is that opiate money started rolling in?
And we should play we'll play one of the Area 51 songs, the one that was made famous on the Art Bell radio show. I happened to be listening to it, and I, for some reason, put a cassette in and got this call that I think a lot of people know, and it occurred in 1997 with this frantic caller. And the date is rather conspicuous. It was on September 11th. And he's talking about things happening that are very 9/11-ish. And as he's talking, the station Art Bell show that was knocked off the air. There was a major satellite outage.
That satellite controlled several radio stations,
Exactly.
So it wasn't just Art Bell playing a hoax.
Yeah, it wasn't Art Bell's hoax. It was a lot of radio stations. Other radio stations that were on the same satellite went down. And I remember listening, and you've got this frantic caller talking about being triangulated on and all this. And then all of a sudden, it goes blank. And then after a few seconds, or maybe it was a minute, here's Mark Furman on, a tape of Mark Furman, who was the guy from the O.J. trial who said he never used the N-word, nagger. He never said nagger. Remember that? And he's on. And anyway, I think we can...
What was that?
We can cue that up. She's
pretty,
cueing it.
Pretty coincidental, though, I guess.
I'm using my beautiful signed vinyl. I can't actually see the lines, though, because
she's got the signed vinyl.
Beautiful pictures and Alex Gray artwork on it. So if I play the wrong song, too bad.
Jeez, I thought this was professional radio.
Poking
23 community radio.
Poking hope.
I doubt there's any Black Hat Boojums listening. Maybe we should get Danny over there on that ladder, Alice.
You've got 3 songs on here. 1, 2.
I was just supposed to be I have to actually be DJ now, I guess.
Danny, is there going to be any pre-sales? Are there going to be any pre-sales?
Yeah, I think we need that.
When's the new website coming? Sooner or later?
Soon.
Will there be message boards?
Actually, we're going to be down in Australia for the next 3 weeks or so probably not much is going to get done back this way.
No, actually, we'll probably get a lot done while they're done.
Yeah, get the band out of the way, and then maybe you guys can actually do something.
That's pretty much what will happen.
I'm being scrutinized.
I'll bet we have that site up by next year.
Right.
All right. That was the Art Bell thing. And, that guy's frantic. A lot of people think it's a hoax. I believe somebody called in and said it was. I really didn't follow the story too much after that. I don't know if it was or not. But you've certainly got some pretty amazing coincidences going on there. If it was a hoax, I mean, the hoaxer didn't take out a satellite, I hope.
Well, for those of us who don't really know.
Is my mic
on? Is this mic on? Hot mic. But yes, your mic is on, so...
I speak freely.
You may speak freely and candidly. I wanted to ask you about Art Bell because before I met you, I had really only read a little bit about UFOs, and of course I always checked out like the book in the library when I was a kid about the Loch Ness Monster and all that stuff. But it's always been such a fascination of mine. I mean, anybody who's got any love or fascination for, the universe. As a child, you go out and you look at the stars and you wonder what the hell's out there, and obviously our cosmos. I mean, everything's so expanding and giant and huge, and we don't even know how large it actually is. So, I mean, how did you get into this? Like, what was your, when did your fascination begin with this, Blair?
I got interested in UFOs if we discount the whole thing where I was in 5th grade and all of a sudden I was afraid to slide down the fire escape in grade school, which, I used to do all the time. I would, we'd actually break in the summer and just to slide down the damn thing. And I remember I couldn't do it. I had a teacher had to walk me down with a couple little girls or whatever. I could not get into that thing, and I started having just really weird dreams, whatever you want to say, the classic stuff that other people have experienced, which I have no idea what it was. It could have been, it could be anything, but did have blood on the sheets. Anyway, I believe I really got into it with the Piedmont, Missouri episode that occurred in the 1970s, and these were cattle mutilations that were very strange. I would be sitting there eating dinner, and we'd see this on our 5 o'clock news, and I, of course, had to go out there and see what the hell's going on for myself. So, I'm sitting in farmers' fields waiting for these gentlemen that trade diamonds for dog shit to show up. They never did. Moved out here to the land of fruit and nuts. Of course, started, researching it. Got really into reading about all the stuff that happened into the 50s. Loved collecting the old books from the 50s, amazing stories and all that good stuff. And I guess, I really don't have a defining moment. I'm not sure how. I'm pretty agnostic on the whole subject, actually. It's fascinating. I don't know. It should be fascinating to anybody, I would think, extraterrestrial life, but I don't have the answers, or at least I can't tell you on community radio without being paid $616.
Oh.
It's just the way it is.
Like I said, I'll be making that check out as soon as I can here.
I'll take cash.
So let's talk a little bit about when I went out to Area 51. Would you like to?
Well, yes, you and Danny did come out, and that was a meteor shower.
It was a meteor shower?
Meteor shower.
Was it in 04? Summer of 04 or 05?
The date eludes me due to the ravages of
Well, it was hot. It was hotter
and sobriety
than any other day of my entire life, because the next day I was hungover. I remember we drove back to Vegas, and Danny left me in the car because I was passed out in the back with the AC on. But by the time he'd checked us into our hotel and gotten back to the car, it was so hot, even just with the AC in the car sitting still.
Yes.
So yeah, it had to have been summertime.
Yeah, yes, it was the meteor shower.
Maybe I was
It
abducted.
was in August.
Maybe I was abducted.
No,
You
I don't think so.
Maybe abducted by booze.
We can't say
little
for
devil.
sure, but I think that that night, what was funny to me on that night, I don't remember really seeing much out there that night. It was a pretty uneventful night. There's a lot of times it's a crapshoot. It's uneventful. But it was the meteor shower, and it's sometimes just great to get out of Los Angeles and see more than 12 or 13 stars in the sky. So I remember sitting there craning my neck, just staring up at the so-called glittering infinity, and all of a sudden I heard Danny, God damn it, look at that one. I had seen one all night. He shows up in 2 minutes, and the mother of all streaks across the sky in the wrong direction.
Yeah, that sounds
the
like
direction I wasn't looking at.
that sounds like full Danny Carey fashion. Showing up and then something miraculous and cool happens.
But getting back, if I may, to the Art Bell thing, how that seemed like the frantic holler, like this is nothing really like this goes on. Before Danny went out to Area 51 with me, hello,
We've got an invasion, another
couple of
invasion,
dogs here.
only of the four-legged kind.
I had gone out there with a friend of mine who was a photographer, and these were in the early days. And so we're just sitting out there by our tents, minding our own business. I'd been subjected to psychological kind of games by these board camo, the security people before. So that was nothing new. And in fact, I would have little rocks that I would, throw in the darkness just to see if they were creeping up on me or not. But one night I'm just sitting there, and it's early. It might have been 10 o'clock, something like that. And it's I'm just sipping on a bud, and that's a beer. And, we're talking, just having a conversation about things, my friend and I. And the next thing I remember, he is waking me up inside my tent, and he has a plastic bag, grocery bag or whatever, and he says, "You're going to be sick." And when I woke up, I had this metallic taste in my mouth, sort of like I was guzzling charcoal lighter fluid.
That sounds delicious.
And I immediately did throw up into the bag. How he knew I was going to
he
be
knew.
sick is because he had just experienced it. He had come to in his tent. And we had no idea what had happened, and we really didn't even want to talk about it, actually, which is really strange that we didn't talk about it until a couple of days later. But
you were not under the influence.
Oh, no, we were fine. I did read about some other people, some pilots who went out there to the perimeter in the same location, and they had the same thing happen to them, and they surmised that they had been gassed, been knocked out by some kind of gas, and maybe that's when they were doing the test or whatever, or maybe they were testing the gas. This whole thing in retrospect with Area 51 is that they're probably these reverse engineered alien spacecraft have probably been the Predator, the UAVs, that they're using now over in Afghanistan. In fact, they probably loved having people like this come out there so they could practice on us with these things. They weren't shooting at us, but they were probably zooming in, photographing us, and doing whatever they do. These stealthy Predator type unmanned vehicles that seem to be the latest weapons with the military. And of course, we know that Area 51 is where they did test all of the stealth and the SR-71, and that's what they do. So I think that could be a good explanation for what's going on out there, what was going on out there we were seeing.
What about the vanishing airstrip? You want to talk about that a little bit? Because I think it's pretty incredibly cool.
What are you on, Ryan, and where can I get some?
I want a vanishing
airstrip. What in the
hell that you spray water on it or something, and all of a sudden there's this airstrip, and I don't understand.
I know what it is.
Who could have come up with that?
Well, it's Area 51. That box designated Area 51 is now they do admit it's there. They call it Homey Airfield, and it does have the longest runway in the world, I believe. At least it used to, and probably that was camouflage It was probably, it's a dry lake bed, Groom Lake bed. So they probably, what that meant was that it just looked like a, your average dry lake bed until they would put water on it, and then you would be able to see the runway. So it was probably something to elude surveillance. Although can't imagine. I think they were fooling.
Well, I think
I don't know much about that. That's probably what that story is all about.
Well, I remember when we were out there, just getting back to being watched and everything. I had heard you talking about, going out there in the past and all these guys watching you. And I just remember throwing back a few beers or cocktails.
Well, that's one of the best things you can do out there, actually, is because, you do feel pretty free out there on that land. You can actually enjoy yourself. I've never, other than the time that they came to get us, I've never seen any kind of police officer out there.
Yeah, but I remember after we had a couple of drinks and then we drove kind of to the perimeter and turned the cars off and we got quiet.
We shouldn't talk about that, Ryan. I know what you're talking about. I don't think we should discuss that.
We shouldn't discuss that?
That was pretty scary.
Okay. Well, let's not discuss it.
Why don't you go ahead and tell what you recall, but that was quite unusual.
Well, I just recall seeing a bunch of red lights all over, and I remember one of our friends asked me, hi, Danny. Danny just walked in the room, everybody. I remember one of our friends asking me if I was scared, and I said no, that I felt rather safe because we had so many eyes on us. But it was just kind of the weirdest sensation I've ever felt, just being watched in the dark.
I remember waking up in the orange section of the cafeteria in the gray vessel.
And what did they serve you for breakfast?
That's the mystery. I think it was carrot juice. Tasted like carrot juice like I had back in France, but somehow I just don't think it was.
I think we're going to play some more music.
No strawberry ice cream.
What do you got, Mr. Carey? We got something for you. What is it? Klaatu. And here we go. He's going to cue this up right now.
Calling occupants of interplanetary craft.
Watch out.
Carpenters did this too, but this is a better version.
Here we go.
I remember another time I got gassed out at the perimeter of the base, actually in Rachel, and this was far worse than the experience I just told you about. True story. It was in the winter. It was icy cold out there in December, and went out there with a photographer, and we were to meet with this guy who was going to take us up on the ridges, and we were going to look at the base through a celestron telescope. Anyway, one of the pitfalls of the place, a little alien, was Pat Travis's homemade chili, Pat's Chili. And I remember, there's not a whole lot to eat out there. You get an alien burger, or you get the chili, and it was, the winter, and it's icy, snowy, so we all had the chili. And I remember that night, we'd been drinking some beer, we had the chili, we got into the little trailer they have there at the Alien, and I remember waking up about 3 a.m, suffocating. There was a space heater in there, and it had sucked all the oxygen out of the room. He combined with Pat's chili. I remember just bolting out the door and collapsing in the snow, and the other 2 guys were right behind me. And I think that was probably the most dangerous thing that ever happened to me out there, really. And I remember the guy showing up like at our at the time that we had agreed upon, which was early in the morning. This was a guy that liked to get up early, and I just remember being so tired, possibly hungover, and then just looking at the guy and saying, just flying saucers don't exist. There are no UFOs. I'm just going to go back to bed. Put your comic books away, all that kind of thing, and let's get back to the issues. Actually, about an hour later, he came back, and we did go out, and we did have a rollicking good time out there by the perimeter. And so that was the second gassing, and true story, as they all are. Danny, what do you got to say?
Oh, God. One of the most amazing, I don't remember, I think it was the next time we went out there, was it an anniversary of something out there? And
yeah.
They had all the crazy.
They had all the
ufologists from all over.
The saucer nuts were out there, and
Ambassador Merlin
from Alpha Draconi, I believe, got his business card over here. They were all out there. Norio Haikawa was singing Waylon Jennings. There was country music. That's the thing about this place, really. No matter what's happening, what they're testing, it's just such a. It's a twilight zone out there. You know, if something doesn't happen by the base, it's going to happen in Rachel. There's just such a strange cast of characters out there. There's just always something going on out there. You know, there's a fireball coming down. I remember just one of my last trips out there, speaking of those little UAVs, my friend was drinking a margarita, and he kept looking over at me going, feels like there's something in here, like a bug or something got in here. And he's going, there's a bug in here or something, but it's pitch black, and you can't see, and he's just standing there. And after about the third time he said it, we took a flashlight over to it and shined it into the margarita, and there was this massive matte gray white moth looking thing that really didn't look like an insect.
Like a big potato bug. It
was
or something.
Bizarre. Well, he flipped out and he tossed the thing out in the desert, and I went out there like trying to find it because I'm thinking it's maybe one of these things. They're flying around, you know, they've got them small. It's a little predator. It just happened to land in his margarita.
Genetically engineered for their purposes.
I really thought that was one of their little miniature spy planes or whatever that was in his margarita. It was the craziest looking grasshopper, moth, insect I'd ever seen in my life. Just the coloring on the thing. We never did locate it, though, unfortunately, even with night vision. We did. And like Danny said, yeah, those are the great times going out there and listening to the stories of these guys from talking about, you know, the landing that's going to occur on Highway 375, which we now know is the extraterrestrial highway. When it went commercial, things started going commercial out there with ID4, the film, and they sold the black mailbox, which was the marker. You know, they painted it white.
That was sacrilege. I couldn't believe
they auctioned it off. Somebody from Japan bought that. They started putting monoliths out there. The whole thing just went commercial. I think there's a big Kentucky Fried Chicken thing out there now that you can see from space or something. So I really don't even go to that area. Last few times I went out there, I kind of avoid all that. I mean, we had bartenders out at that Alien that I was sure were walk-ins. There was a guy that, I went in a rum and Coke and a Heineken. Well, this guy filled the glass 99% with rum, and then just put a splash of Coke in it. And when he gave me my Heineken, I can you open it for me? You got an opener? He looked bewildered. Somebody had to show him how to open the Heineken. This was the bartender out there. You know, definitely an MIB, a walk-in, something. Something wasn't right there.
Are you talking about the Billy Goat?
No. I'm talking about like after he passed, this bartender. You know that was a very strange drink. Now I know people that would have loved that drink, but there was something wrong.
Yeah. Oh man. A lot of the talk at that time was about the Aurora. Remember that?
Yeah,
it was like
the hypersonic planes.
Yeah, that supposedly was, I don't know, nuclear powered or something. It can take off from from this longest runway in the world that's out there, and then achieve escape velocity and go into orbit.
Go anywhere and get back before just bomb you while you got your pants down. But
is this how we're getting to Australia?
I'm afraid we're doing it the old-fashioned way. We have to earn it.
Yeah, I've actually on a couple occasions out there. I've been in the Alien where the the stealth, the B-2s go by and they knock all the glasses off the shelf and the bottles, and the owner Joe Trask would get pissed off at everything. But I've also been out at the perimeter when I did not see anything, but we had those kind of skyquakes or whatever, like something's re-entering the orbit, and it just knocked all the hot dogs off our grill, scared the hell out of us. But you really didn't see anything. The only time I really saw something really strange was I was out there with a doctor and his wife, who I probably won't name right now, just in case. And all of a sudden they started prepping the sky. Flares were going off on the base, lots of flares. There was a plane circling, like maybe knocking out anything. There was helicopters. There were red dots, which were jets. They were like just preparing for something. And I remember the doctor looking up and over at me, and he said, "What's this green satellite?" And I said, "Green satellite?" And I look up, and it did look like a bright green satellite, like a dot. But within seconds, this thing was flying over us lower, this big green plasma, some kind of craft. I don't know what, something that they're monkeying with out there. But the speed was impossible. It was incredible. And that was probably one of the strangest things that I'd actually have seen. Most of the time, I have not seen a whole lot of things that I couldn't explain. Especially when we start talking about these UAVs, infrared suppression flares, just things that you would expect at a top secret military installation.
I don't know. Did I already ask you?
Yes.
I don't think I did, though. I asked
sure?
you before we were live. What, in your opinion, do you think is the single most evident or the solid piece of evidence that there are extraterrestrials?
One, I couldn't slide down that fire escape in 5th grade. No, probably us. Look at us. Human beings.
Yeah, the only species that destroys itself, its planet, all others around us. There's definitely some kind of genetic engineering going on there that went haywire.
Unstable hybrid theory?
I think that the unstable hybrid is pretty good. We can throw out a lot of Sitchinism, a lot of the wackier stuff, and that's a pretty good theory right now for extraterrestrial intervention. But who knows? I have all these books, this massive library going back to the 50s, and with sometimes in these books you'll see a little sheet of paper from the UFO conference of the 50s. And one time I compared that with one from the 90s, and they were nearly identical. Of course, different people.
Was that breaking the God spell?
What I'm saying is that, the idea that people in the 50s were thinking, next year, 1957, will be the year of disclosure. This will be the year we finally find things. And they have these UFO, these saucer conventions, these saucer cons, where the people, you have this list of people. There's always a Native American Indian, and if you compare the ones from the 50s to the ones in the 90s, they're saying the same thing, yet 60 years ago. There's
dolphin, crystal enema girl.
Yeah, everything. There's the whole thing. You put them there. Only the names have changed. Only the names have changed.
That's what you call me when I go to my essential oils classes.
And reading these books, it's just what strikes me. There's nothing really very alien in them. It's just book after book, and I think of the phenomenon as being so strange that it's not even perceivable to us. Anyway, I think we should, on that note, maybe play some spacey music.
Cool. Let's play some music.
So I can go get a beer. I've got my check.
What do you want to play? We're gonna play a little Frank Zappa. Mr. Carey's queuing that up on vinyl.
This record has seen better days. It was one of my favorites, so it was well worn.
Are you ready there, Mr. Carey? Okay, here we go.
Zappa. I didn't know that guy was interested in UFOs and crazy things like that.
As long as the Incan influence is there, I think he takes him away. Beautiful playing by George Duke on that. One of my favorite keyboardists of all time.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say there's probably a few people out there that tuned in tonight that are Tool fans. And so one of the songs probably inspired by Area 51, or at least a lot of people think so. And I definitely do not wear Birkenstocks. I've never had a pair. I don't have a van. And I certainly never have eaten a Krispy Kreme donut, while I was tempted recently. So maybe Danny can tell us a little bit more about the transpiration for that song, although the lyrics were written by Maynard, of course. So.
Yeah, when we were in full riding mode on the Lateralis record, I guess it was. Was this the last one?
Yeah, that's the last record you did, Lateral. Then there was this 10,000 Days thing.
10,000 Days. I can never remember them. They're all the same to me. Just little postcards from a period in time. Got a frog in my throat here. No, Bill Manspeaker wandered into our rehearsal one day, and he had gone out to see the Integratron somewhere out in the desert.
Yeah, it's out by Palm Springs. By the Space Rock.
Yeah, and he came back with some crazy story of abduction and strange briefcases and whatnot.
It's quite the story. I didn't know if it really happened or if he was writing it for a script or if he was testing it on us to see how it'd react, but it was one hell of a story.
Rating our gullibility factors, perhaps.
Yeah. And you just have to go with it and go, okay, yeah, I think that happened to me once too. There was 1 million cuts or something all over his body. It was a great story.
It's just so scattered and beyond, though. I can't really recall too many of the nutty details of it, but the horror in his voice pretty much said it all, which is something strange had happened to him. And
immediately I had to go out there and check it out.
It sounded almost closer to a cattle mutilation rather than an abduction, though.
There's a fine line between the two.
Yeah. But Maynard was so inspired that he wrote this next song, and we're going to go ahead and play it for you guys. So here you have it, Rosetta Stone.
Goddamn, shit the bed.
Ryan, do you have a cup of salt I can have to take this pill?
A cup of what?
Salt so I can take this pill.
What?
Oh, sorry.
Blair.
Cease all UFO research if you want your girlfriend to remain pretty.
If you want your girlfriend to remain pretty. I need to eat if I'm to remain pretty. Thanks everybody for listening. I had such a wonderful evening tonight with you, Blair. Thank you so much for coming on my show.
My pleasure. Don't worry.
You're quite welcome.
Mr. Carey, who I think should do a Carey Corner every Monday because he's got so much knowledge and amazing music.
I can verify that.
I'm just gonna have him pop in and make appearances like that. So Blair, you want to come back and do another one, right?
Yeah,
so
we'll come back. We've got all kinds of things we can talk about. We didn't get into Archuleta Mesa and Dulce, Roswell. Maybe Danny and I can do a collecting Crowley thing sometime. I'll need a check for that. $16. But Danny says not to worry about it because we're going to go out and have a good dinner tonight. We're not going to tell you where we're going, though.
We better. No, we're not going to tell you where we're going, but it will be in the neighborhood. Did you want to talk a little bit about that Tomita? The Bermuda Triangle?
You say Tomita, I say Tomita.
You say Tomita. Yeah.
No, I think we'll just save that for next time. I think that's appropriate for the next time. I think maybe you should play some of your own music now, Ryan.
We have a couple minutes. I'm gonna play a song that I wrote with my sister. It's pretty rad, and there's just a little bit. It's like 30 seconds of radness. So if you guys are curious to hear what I've been up to, I also printed 3-color T-shirts today on my 4-color screen printing press, and I'm really excited about it. So I'll be selling some of those and probably doing Danny Carey's T-shirts. I hope. Maybe I hope not. I don't know, because then maybe everybody will yell if there's something
Only if you
wrong.
live up to the quality control.
Quality control. I might get kicked out of the house. Okay, cool. I'm going to play my song that I wrote with my sister and my dear friend Derek Schrumer. All right. And it is called Golden Letters on the Keyboard Play. Here we go. Okay, it falls apart here, but so you can look forward to more of that in the near future, because basically it's the coolest project, and it's called Secret Passages. Maybe into the tunnel of your mind. I don't know. Anyway, it's time to go. It's totally time to go, which sucks because we've got so much more to cover. But thank you, everybody, for listening. And I did play a little bit of Radiohead under there, too. So don't be fooled. I'm playing it right now. We've got Greg coming up right after me. And he's from Portland. And I'm sure he'll be playing something super cool. So check it out and check back with me, not next Monday because I'll be flying to Australia for the Big Day Out Festival, and I'm super stoked. So just check back the following week. I don't know exactly who I'm going to have on my show, so I'm hoping to wrangle a few people from the Big Day Out or some of our crew guys. Maybe Iggy Pop. I really want him. I'm going to try to kidnap him. I don't know. He probably won't talk to me because because maybe he'll be on stage. I don't know, but I'll do my best to wrangle somebody cool for you guys. So thanks again to Blair and Danny for joining us. Bye, you guys.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening,
Radio
everybody.
23.
Here comes Greg.